Taking our 10th spot is Katherine Heigl. Katherine is still an active presence in Hollywood after her start in 1992, however she was one of many blacklisted since approximately 2008. Hollywood has been known as the quote, very big small town due to how quickly word travels from mouth to mouth about which stars refuse to work with who. The same instance was claimed by Katherine to have happened to her back in 2008, at the time when rumors were circulating about Katherine being difficult to work with on set, which supposedly resulted in her Grey's Anatomy role being drastically reduced. Despite the cause, the apparent situation took a hard toll on Katherine's mental well-being once she described her fellow Hollywood creatives' refusal to work with her. There is a bright side here though, as Katherine seems to have refreshed her mental health and stepped back onto the scene of Hollywood. She's had 2 series alone released this year so far. The actress, film producer, and former model became best known for her ABC medical drama portrayal of Dr. Isabel Stevens. For her work on Grey's, Katherine was rewarded with the Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama Series Primetime Emmy Award. If you're enjoying today's WATN, don't forget to smash that subscribe button for more fun celebrity videos. Taking our 9th spot is Dalton Trumbo. Dalton was blacklisted in the year 1947, as mentioned a little earlier, but his active years in the industry ranged from 1936 to 1947, and then again through a technical rebirth from 1961 until 1973. The reason behind Dalton's blacklisting was due to the infamous Hollywood 10 scandal. This specific class was one that many did not want any involvement in. The name was established for a group of screenwriters under Joseph McCarthy's HUAC, which stands for the House Un-American Activities Committee. This group was described as beings who had quote, communist sympathies at the height of the so-called Red Scare. The Red Scare is reported to be a promotional, wide-ranging fear tactic involved with a quote, potential rise of communism, anarchism, or other leftist ideologies by a society or state. The 2 periods of history within the United States often included these terms and were referred to by its name. With all that said, reports flew about that the Hollywood 10, with the inclusion of Dalton, formulated an inventive method of penning under a pseudonym. Basically, while he was being blacklisted, Dalton, in accordance with co-writers and aliases, was awarded 2 Oscars for The Brave One and Roman Holiday. He didn't see any personal credit under his birth name until years after the Red Scare scandal, and it was at that point when Dalton saw the Academy give him his due credit. Dalton has been reported to be arguably the most talented and most famous blacklisted Oscar-winning screenwriter known to history through the Hollywood 10. Taking our 8th spot is Thora Birch. Thora is another currently active Hollywood actress since 1988 whose life faltered after being blacklisted, as she was bagging successful roles like Hocus Pocus prior. However, by 2010 she stopped seeing jobs flowing due to a massive rumor about her supposed attitude. Similar to Katherine, Thora was axed out of the H-Town scene when it was not so politely claimed that Thora was difficult to work with, basically alluding that she was a total B-word. But the most surprising thing, the incident in question didn't seem to be particularly her fault. The American Beauty actress was branded with a problematic label when she was dismissed from the Broadway run of Dracula, following her father/manager allegedly threatening another actor who was starring in the play. Word on the street is no one is sure who's to blame in the end, but Thora saw a rather lackluster work life since. The actress is best known for her Jane Birmingham role in the 1999 film American Beauty. Taking our 7th spot is Isaiah Washington. Isaiah was a rather iconic, semi-long-term addition to Grey's Anatomy during his time on the show, but that all came crashing down in 2007 when he was blacklisted for pulling a can't zip his mouth moment Roseanne Barr style. From 1991 to the year his life pretty much changed forever, Isaiah was decently active in Hollywood. However, during the Golden Globes in 2007, Isaiah was overheard spewing some rather offensive remarks against those in the LGBTQ+ community. This situation resulted in the Grey's team pulling the plug on Isaiah's contract in their medical drama. Still, compared to the majority of actors who were reported to have been blacklisted in Hollywood, Isaiah managed to obtain quite a few roles since. But in the words of Isaiah, he once said about the ABC executives, "They killed the actor in me on June 7, 2007. After first making a couple of appearances in films, Isaiah branded himself in Hollywood for his Dr. Preston Burke portrayal during the first 3 seasons of the Grey's Anatomy series between 2005 and 2007. Taking our 6th spot is Brendan Fraser. Brendan has been an active being in Hollywood from 1991 to the present day, but he saw his blacklisting back in 2018. On another end of the spectrum for SA, rather than the man-to-woman scenario, there is the man-to-man one. And in Brendan's case, the American-Canadian actor once claimed that he was a victim of exactly the latter during a 2018 public event. The Mummy actor formally alleged that the moment he went to shake the hand of Philip Burke, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association or AFPA president, Philip allegedly grabbed his rear instead of his palm. At first, Brendan was reported to have shied away from the spotlight, but soon found the courage to bravely and very publicly call out Philip for the indecency. However, not much longer after this incident, Brendan further claimed that his job saw a complete full stop. Brendan is most popular popular for his The Mummy trilogy role as Rick O'Connell. Outside of his role mentioned prior, Brendan also saw additions to other films like Journey to the Center of the Earth, Looney Tunes Back in Action, Bedazzle, and Encino Man. Taking our 5th spot is Gina Carano. From 2008 to now, Gina has been a constant presence in Hollywood, but maybe not so much after 2021 when she was blacklisted AF. The former MMA fighter can obviously hold her own in a fight, we know that much, and it's probably the reason why she was cast in the Star Wars-centric universe series The Mandalorian as Cara Dune. Fans are enraptured by Gina's character, who assisted in the planet-hopping adventures of Mando and Grogu. But then Gina pretty much screwed her own success over when she made an awkwardly inappropriate statement on social media describing being a quote, "Republican in Hollywood today is like being Jewish in Germany." She was fired from Lucasfilm from the show, and her character was never once mentioned afterwards. And despite Gina still dabbling in the field of acting, her image has yet to recover. Before her fame fall though, Gina was well known and adored as a previous mixed martial artist holding a 12-1 record. She was also popular for her Fast and Furious 6 role playing Riley Hicks. Taking our 4th spot is Elizabeth Berkley. Elizabeth's activity in Hollywood started in 1986 and still technically holds out today, but she was blacklisted rather quickly for her time in the spotlight in 1995. When the reportedly infamous Flash Fest Showgirls hit theaters with a rather unimpressive impression on audiences in the fall of 1995, it was Elizabeth who took the hardest fall. Back then, she was best known for her iconic work on Saved by the Bell as Jessie Spano. So the shock that viewers experienced from her Nomi role in Showgirls as an inspiring Vegas dancer who spends the majority of time on screen wearing very little quite obviously led to mass disappointment. The film eventually became a running joke in pop culture, and Elizabeth blamed the film's failure as the reason why she wasn't able to get credible industry roles afterwards. However, when an SBB reunion emerged a few years back, Elizabeth's fans and the general public seem to have long forgotten about her very public shame. Elizabeth has starred in other well-known on-screen works like Baywatch, Any Given Sunday, and The Curse of the Jade Scorpion. Taking our 3rd spot is Stacey Dash. Stacey saw an active streak in Hollywood from 1982 onward, but was shunned from Hollywood in 2016 and hasn't really recovered much since. Her supporting role in the 1995 teen rom-com Clueless made for a rather promising career for Stacey looking into the future, but then came her notorious Oscars moment with Chris Rock, which had her acting life crumbling down before her. The two stars were said to have engaged in an odd verbal spat on stage, and Stacey eventually took offense to their back and forth and alleged that she may not have been quote black enough. Now in realistic terms, Stacey technically did not owe any apologies for her conservative beliefs or her skin tone. However, the entertainment industry put their foot down when she publicly spoke out in 2016 about being against Black History Month. Prior to her exiling herself in Hollywood, Stacey saw great fame as a star of Clueless, playing Dion Marie Davenport, as well as appearing in music videos like Kanye West's All's Fall Down and Carl Thomas's Emotional. Taking our 2nd spot is Charlie Sheen. Charlie is another Hollywood actor who is still a current presence in Hollywood and has been since 1984, but 2011 saw his social demise and Hollywood credibility in line with his reportedly bad boy image. Charlie seemed to have pushed the disapproval bar so far that he eventually got fired from his 2.5 Men role. Between this chaotic event and his supposed rise to becoming one of Hollywood's worst stars to exist, the star was dating and marrying high-profile stars, dabbling in hard substances, admitting and leaving rehab, and having run-ins with the law. But apparently the final straw for Charlie was his brutal rant towards his successful sitcom co-star Jon Cryer. The incident was said to be the sole reason Charlie was axed from the series. Not very long after the outburst, Charlie was questioned on whether he was bipolar, to which he claimed he was bi-winning. I'm sure you can see this wasn't a strong reason for directors to pick up the phone and call Charlie for any other work. In a supposed attempt to smooth over his past actions, Charlie later acted under his birth name, Carlos Estevez, in Machete Kills in 2013. Taking our 1st spot is Monique. Monique was on a bit of a streak when she was first active in Hollywood between 2000 and 2009, and then again from 2014 to 2016. However, that gap in between was due to her getting blacklisted, specifically in 2010. Monique took the industry by surprise when she was awarded the Best Supporting Actress at the 2010 Oscars for her show-stopping portrayal as Precious's mother in the Gabriel Sidibe character titled Film. Yet when stars win Oscars, they typically receive a pay raise and numerous job offers, but Monique counteracted these claims to say the opposite proved true for her. Rumors that she was shunned because she didn't schmooze enough during the Oscars were at the forefront of her career, and Monique has only seen 7 active jobs since she won, with 2 of them still being unreleased. Taking our 10th spot is Justin Bieber. There isn't a single person, young or old, who can deny the charm Justin swept into the industry with. He quickly rose to fame with massive hits like Baby and Boyfriend, but over the years his starlight has continued to dim. Justin's downward spiral began in 2016 when he was captured on tape advising a heckler to stop by using a racial slur. The fortune maker started to lose some of his most loyal supporters from his booming career back then, and the video manages to resurface every so often, even now. Many of his fanbase believers were quick to call him out, with some even creating a Twitter hashtag by Justin Bieber and partaking in social media rampages with requests to send the Canadian star back across the border. Now the 28-year-old hitmaker has been attempting to get his life back on track, even going so far as to prove there is no bad blood between him and his wife's ex-boyfriend, Canadian-born singer Shawn Mendes. The fellow pop stars were spotted attending a church service together on Wednesday and later made a reappearance in Justin's Lamborghini as they hopped into the lavish vehicle to continue their night out on the town. The original worship service took place at the 92-year-old Saban Theater, formerly known as the iconic Fox Wilshire. Like today's video if you think any of today's featured stars need to come back to the industry. Taking our 9th spot is Amanda Bynes. Amanda was the successor of many amazing opportunities from fairly early on. In addition to dozens of popular films, Amanda was the star of She's the Man and Nickelodeon's All That series. However, Amanda's parents had accusations of failure to assist their daughter on the correct path once she began to experience rather hard and publicized spells. Amanda refused rehab and things went so far as to have a lawsuit filed against the star to admit her. Resultantly, Amanda's life continued to tumble even further downhill, and she was soon infamous for her quote bizarre conduct. After a police car collision with Amanda behind the wheel, she was locked up in 2013 for a DUI. Now, the former child star seems to be doing a lot better. She was reported to have been running errands solo in LA on Monday in light of a reconciliation with her ex Paul Michael. The What a Girl Wants alum was photographed without Paul in her company, and while they have recently gotten back together, the on-again off-again pair's engagement is still allegedly called off. As of now, they are speculated to be permanently sharing Amanda's LA home. Amanda has also been in the works of becoming a nail artist following her enrollment in a cosmetology course. The star later shared via Instagram stories that she finished with her 100 hours to receive her nail tech license. In March 2022, Amanda saw freedom from the legal control of her mother, Lynn, through her 9-year care. Taking our 8th spot is Lindsay Lohan. This prominent star saw insane fame in her early days through her 1998 double portrayal as Annie and Haley in her debut film The Parent Trap. This movie would be marked as one of Lindsay's most famed roles alongside the 2004 iconic teen comedy film Mean Girls. She was a highly marketed and adored star from that point onward. However, her career took a startling downfall when her addiction problems came to light, mixed in with a New York shoplifting incident. Nowadays though, Lindsay is back to working in front of the cameras. In March 2022, the star signed a talk-worthy Netflix deal for 3 of their upcoming original projects. One of these is Falling for Christmas, where Lindsay portrays a massively spoiled engaged heiress whose old life is lost in translation, and she is now falling for the ski lodge owner after getting amnesia from a skiing incident. The streaming service's independent film director Christine Rogers announced in a statement for the comeback that they were overly excited to have collaborated with Lindsay. The Janine Damian directed upcoming holiday rom-com is currently still in post-production with a set release date of November 10th. Another one of Lindsay's current projects in production is Cursed, a horror thriller in which the actress co-stars with Mickey Rourke and plays Detective Mary Brannigan. Taking our 7th spot is Chris Brown. One very publicized incident of this musician from 2009 nearly cost Chris his entire career. Before this, Chris was dubbed as one of the most promising young R&B artists of his time, but then he was found guilty of felony violence after reports of him his then girlfriend and world favorite singer Rihanna at an industry party surfaced. In light of the messy and downright horrible occurrence, many of his fans and followers stopped supporting his music and cut ties with the artist. It seems over time the world found it in them to move on though, because Chris seems to be rising on the success charts again due to the delivery of visuals for his fan favorite Indigo track Under the Influence. The deep cut for the album dropped on October 20th and depicts Chris rocking a head of red fire hair while he dances alongside girls featured in his warehouse themed video. The music piece takes fans on a journey through Chris's struggles of addiction from his love for an unnamed woman. The 2019 album Indigo was released in June and has a total of 32 tracks. Its songs guest features include several prominent artists including Nicki Minaj, Justin Bieber, and Trey Songz. The video dropped right on the ball of the track, suddenly skyrocketing to first place on Apple Music's Top 100 Global and struck RIAA Certified Platinum on October 12th. Taking our 6th spot is James Franco. The Franco brothers were loved across the industry, particularly James, who was a star of the 2001 film Rise of the Planet of the Apes. James had a pretty lasting career until 2012 when he was at the forefront of criminal misconduct allegations for his alleged attempts to take advantage of a youth actress, despite James insisting the exchange was consensual. The actress in question made numerous claims that in James' hotel room he won against her wishes and forced her to perform inappropriate acts on him. James later expressed his regret for the improper conduct, since the world hasn't heard much of him. Taking our 5th spot is Kathy Griffin. The actress slash comedian has been a part of the comedy genre for quite some time, with her own specials commercials on TV, and the creation of albums. In 2007 and 2008, Kathy received the Primetime Emmy for her My Life on the D-List reality series. However, ever since her posing stunt with the fake severed head that was meant to be the former US president in 2017, Kathy hasn't partaken in any major media outlet appearances. Most recently, Kathy clapped back at a Twitter troll after the user referred to her as a wasted space D-lister, prompted by Kathy's criticism of Florida GOP Senator Marco Rubio. Kathy replied, "And proud of it. Have you seen my house?" Kathy has remained an unofficial Public Matters commentator over Twitter, and once spoke about the backlash she faced following her photo shoot, alluding that this decision was the very thing that ruined her career. Taking our fourth spot is Rob Lowe. Rob was formerly one of the industry's most promising young actors, but oppositely, Rob soon became the topic of every Hollywood conversation when an explicit tape of him and two other women who were not his wife was leaked. Despite making an eventual bounce back from this, Rob's slip-up cost him work, fans, and a career-end scare. Nowadays, Rob has offered updates to the Lowe File fans about his forthcoming projects. The Lowe Files is a podcast of the star/host and other Hollywood names, all teaming up to recall jaw-dropping stories, deep diving into all sorts of wild and crazy things that occur behind the scenes of their diverse lives, with Rob asking all the right and juicy questions pretty much no one else dares to. Taking our third spot is Jennifer Grey. Jennifer garnered loads of fame from her leading portrayal in Dirty Dancing with Patrick Swayze, but this didn't stop Hollywood from basically shutting her out of the ongoing success of the industry after her 1988 Copacabana debacle. The film was said to have been a flop for the high-profile performer and had a very lasting and negative impact on Jennifer's career as an actor. Sometime after, 1992 reports floated around about Jennifer seeking treatment for alcohol overconsumption. Not long ago, actor Matthew Broderick, who is well known for his current marriage to Sarah Jessica Parker, re-spoke about the time he was romantically involved with Jennifer. The former couple first met on the set of one of Matthew's most famous movies, and they eventually ventured into a secret romance that was only revealed after they survived a heartbreaking car crash. Over the years, Jennifer has also spoken about the incident, informing ET in 2020 that she faced severe trauma from it. Taking our second spot is Charlie Sheen. Charlie is undoubtedly one of Hollywood's most remembered stars, simply due to his addition to hit movies like Wall Street, The Arrival, Platoon, and The Three Musketeers. But years down the road, Charlie transitioned from being the highest paid actor in his former show, 2.5 Men, to being shunned for his unpredictable behavior, which allegedly included extreme violence and substance use. After his exit, there was an apparently angry video sent to his co-star Jon Cryer, with Charlie on a nasty rant about him. Despite this, Jon has stepped forward lately to clarify that there's no bad blood on his part in their friendship. As for Cinema Blend, Jon has stated that he's fully supportive of Charlie's health rebound and hopes he's experiencing nothing but success. Taking our first spot is Paula Deen. This once highly famous chef, TV celeb, and cookbook author saw a near finalization of her career in 2013. An ex-employee of Paula's made claims of being wrongfully dismissed because of a race-related discrimination case he filed against her, which in turn harmed her franchise. Paula did eventually admit to using racist insults during a deposition in court, but after disclosing her type 2 diabetes diagnosis, the controversy only grew. However, now, despite her not reaching nearly as much fame and support, Paula has managed to turn her life around health-wise with a huge food transformation. Being forced to make some calorie changes in line with her issue, Paula moved on from heavy southern cooking to making lighter and healthier recipes. The chef, who has written and released countless books and is the owner of numerous eateries, has come to terms with the scandal she was previously embroiled in about her use of prejudiced terms. Ever since, Paula has been trying to slowly and carefully reclaim the support of her newer fans. Taking our 10th spot is Tobey Maguire. There has been some serious blame on Tobey's rather quote emo return as Peter Parker for the third installment of the Spider-Man franchise that has people saying he killed his career with his quote awkward comeback. And while to each their own, of course, this may not be the full breakdown. In a 2013 Vulture interview with Spider-Man director Sam Raimi, Sam admitted that he was extremely willing to give Tobey a shot at redemption. However, it took him too long to put together the script for Spider-Man 4. This delay and the known fact that Tobey would be hitting his mid-30s that year the production started meant that Sony had to eventually pivot their original ideas. In the end, the 2012 reboot The Amazing Spider-Man was birthed with Andrew Garfield starring in Tobey's former role. At this point, Tobey already moved on with producing films like Seabiscuit and 25th Hour, both of which did well critically. Then came his follow-up works Rock of Ages, Pawn Sacrifice, and The Fifth Wave, which didn't see much financial gain. All this tied in with his public image crisis issue where Tobey got tangled up in an illegal poker club scandal turned off support for him. Currently, it's been reported that Tobey only has one in-production TV film on IMDb, which may very well indicate that Hollywood is about done with casting him in any major parts. Taking our 9th spot is Jim Carrey. Back when he was reigning supreme in Hollywood, Jim was very much the undoubted king of the box office. Movies such as Liar Liar, The Mark, and Dumb and Dumber really pushed him upward, pulling in more than $100 million by 2000 and making him the biggest Hollywood hit of that year. Of course, anything can happen with time, and giving credit to the lower-key comedies like The Incredible Burt Wonderstone and Mr. Popper's Penguins in the mid-2000s, Jim's box office hold notably softened. More recently, his status as a celebrity also took quite a blow due to his ex-girlfriend Catriona White taking her own life. This occurrence was reported to be the reason why a rather ugly ongoing legal battle kicked off. Taking our 8th spot is Jessica Alba. Jessica's working resume hasn't been all that impressive when you look at other stars from her time doing what she was. More so her 5 Razzie nominations and single win in her reportedly dull career. According to publications, several films she started, like Fantastic Four, Awake, and The Eye, were disappointing flops. As an actress, it maybe wasn't the best idea for Jessica to bash the scriptwriters of the part she was featured in and blame them for not doing well, because then high-profile media outlets like the New York Times start branding her as vapid. Nonetheless, Jessica's bad movie experience seemed to take a toll on her, as she revealed to Elle that she nearly quit her career after a director told her to cry more attractively. She also admitted to stop genuinely acting by her late 20s and noted in more recent interviews that she doesn't prioritize it anymore. Instead, she's focused on being a mom and running her consumer goods brand, The Honest Company. However, this very same brand also has taken a hit throughout the years from various lawsuits over its products, even though it saw a value of over $1 billion in 2015. Taking our 7th spot is Sarah Michelle Prince. Sarah didn't see mass success like many thought she would after starring as the titular character in Buffy the Vampire Slayer from 1997 to 2003. Instead, she was often cast for horror films during her big screen transition, many of which critics tore to pieces. As for her non-horror movies, those were also reported to have not done very well, mostly known from her 1999 sci-fi rom-com Simply Irresistible and her starring in the Scooby-Doo movies, although I personally really enjoyed the latter. In television, Sarah didn't seem to be doing any better. In 2011, her starring in Ringer was cancelled after a single season, as was CBS's 2013 comedy The Crazy Ones, despite also casting the late Robin Williams. However, it hasn't been all negatives for Sarah. As a voice actress, she's seen lots of success and even moved on to launching her cooking and lifestyle brand Foodsters. She's also a proud mom for her children, whom she shares with her husband Freddie Prinze Jr. Taking our 6th spot is Tom Welling. Unlike the former stars on this list, Tom made his own personal decision to take a much needed break from Hollywood. Though to be fair, he starred on Smallville for a decade, so his exhaustion by the end of its run was completely natural. But unsurprisingly, this break also meant once he made his return to the industry, he received very limited opportunities to reach greatness again, especially since he was more selective with the roles he was willing to play. Reports state Tom only included 3 additional movies to his resume since Smallville came off the air in 2011, and all didn't do much for the career he once had either. More recently, Tom attempted to snag a couple of smaller screen roles, however CBS declined to run a pilot where he would have starred as a CIA agent. However, in 2017, Tom made his return with Fox's drama series Lucifer, portraying Marcus Pierce. Taking our 5th spot is Jennifer Love Hewitt. Much like her I Know What You Did Last Summer co-star Freddie Prinze Jr., Jennifer's rise to fame almost parallels the actors to a T. In Hollywood, they both seem to have reached similar unfortunate fates. After riding a huge high between the mid-90s to the early 2000s, Jennifer's career started to slow down. Smaller non-hit roles like her part in the action comedy The Tuxedo in 2002 opposite Jackie Chan, the live-action Garfield film, and the very same movie that supposedly left Freddie's career in the dust, Delgo, basically halted Jennifer's prominence in the industry. Jennifer carried on despite this with a 5-year run on The Ghost Whisperer from 2005 to 2010, lined up with Lifetime's 2010 movie The Client List that later turned into a spin-off series. But this is where things burned out for Jennifer. Rumors that she was difficult to work with on set started to circulate, including an allegation that she demanded her real-life child's father to be in the show, which alluded to the series cancellation as a whole. Then Criminal Minds came in 2014 and all seemed well until fans rallied to petition to have Jennifer written out after a single season. Since this, the actress has yet to bag another on-screen credit or have any productions listed. However, this could be due to the birth of her second child and wanting to purposefully put a pause on her career to bond with her children. Regardless, Hollywood hasn't seen much of Jennifer at this point. Taking our 4th spot is Taylor Lautner. After his massively successful and important role in the Twilight Saga as Jacob Black, Taylor was set to hit superstardom level. But unlike his co-stars Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart, who automatically branched out from the teen fantasy drama film, Taylor piggybacked off the success of the franchise by choosing to only star in the 2010 movie Valentine's Day under his Twilight role. When it was Taylor's turn to take on a leading man part, his acting abilities mixed in with being typecast and it being overly anticipated ended up ruining his chance to push the bar higher. His first was in 2011 for Abduction, which was set to do poorly commercial-wise. The following in 2015 for Tracers didn't seem to do much better. After this, Taylor raised his desired future role's asking price to a high of $10 million according to reports, which obviously didn't work well for the entertainment world. However, it hasn't been all horrible. Taylor's seen some success within comedy, attracting great reviews for BBC's Cuckoo series from 2014 to 2016, and becoming a part of Adam Sandler's Netflix It Cruise, with parts in the 2013 film Grown Ups 2 and The Ridiculous 6 from 2015. Of course, he probably wasn't going to ever receive any Oscars for these, but these ladders have become fan favorites across the globe, and a win's a win if I do say so myself. Taking our third spot is Taylor Momsen. Another Taylor who Hollywood isn't willing to hire is our former Gossip Girl actress. Not that she has any interest in returning anyway. By 17, Taylor was already working in the business for over a decade, starting with baby modeling at 2 years old because of her parents. Recalling this with Star Pulse, Taylor wasn't very fond, detailing, quote, "My parents signed me up with Ford at the age of 2. No 2-year-old wants to be working, but I had no choice." From here, Taylor landed her 2000 Cindy Lou breakout role for How the Grinch Stole Christmas, bagged a couple additional children's roles, and saw her biggest success ever as Jenny Little J. Humphrey on Gigi from 2007 to 2012. However, this is when Taylor decided to call it quits. She quickly grew tired of Hollywood and gradually drew away from acting to pursue music. Once Taylor's Good Girl Next Door role transitioned into a gothic rock frontwoman on Gossip Girl, the producers wound up producing her parts until she was dropped as a series regular in the 5th season. Though Taylor didn't mind much. In fact, she became rock band Pretty Reckless's lead singer. In 2016, the group became the first in history to have 4 entries sent into Billboard's mainstream rock songs chart. Taking our second spot is Matthew Fox. According to reports, ever since 2010's Lost, Matthew's career has sunk both professionally and personally. Professionally, his movie career didn't make it far, with roles in Alex Cross and World War Z being unmemorable. Personally, Matthew was dealing with horrible headlines, including accusations of him striking a female bus driver and allegations from a former Lost co-star that he was a woman beater, as well as a DUI arrest. Despite denying the first two, Matthew alluded to Men's Fitness in 2010 that he considered quitting acting. Quote, "If I don't get any quality opportunities, you probably won't see much of me. I'll probably be doing something else." Taking our first spot is Ashley Greene. Despite Ashley not once resting after the success of the Twilight Saga from 2008 to 2012, she chose roles after this that didn't advance her career the way people thought it should. Her biggest credit at the time was a tiny part in Butter, a 2011 indie flick that made no money and failed to impress critics despite centering a cast full of big names. Her only non-Twilight screen credit out of 7 movies to garner more than $1 million in box office sales was The Apparition from 2012, which earned under $5 million on a $17 million budget. This was also said to be Ashley's first official leading role, which seemingly served a double punch. For small screens, ABC's big budget drama Panem disappeared after a single season, and Ashley's run in the 1-season Canadian police drama Rogue resulted in cancellation. Of course, a lot of this is not Ashley's fault, so to say, but none of these have generated any particular buzz either. In 2017, Ashley had 3 post-production films in the works, but like the others, nothing much came out of it. Taking our 10th spot is Miley Cyrus. From the jump, I'm just gonna clear the air by saying Miley was never actually fired by Disney. However, apparently she came extremely close to it, making her fair game for today's list. After betraying the double life of Hannah Montana, Miley supposedly wanted to transition into less friendly roles. Allegedly, the star went through a phase during filming where she and her father, Billy Ray, would collectively wreak havoc on set in hopes of ending the show or being fired altogether. According to claims from reports, the father-daughter duo would turn up late to set, start arguments with staff in production, and be overall unpleasant. Of course, both parties of the Cyrus duo have adamantly denied this speculation, but it's been stated time and time again that this is one of the factors of the show ending when it did. Eventually, Miley was able to break away from her past self and is now staying healthy with new workout routines, still seeing large success as a world-famous singer, and is currently in a relationship with Max Morondo. Picking our 9th spot is Mitchell Musso. Mitchell is most famously known for being a star of Hannah Montana, playing Miley's quirky best friend Oliver Oaken, and Pair of Kings as twin Brady Parker. However, he voice acted as Jeremy Johnson for the network's animated series Phineas and Ferb in between these gigs. In accordance with TMZ, Mitchell was soon forced out of Pair of Kings by Disney when he got arrested for a DUI in 2011. Naturally, his acting career halted the moment he got pulled over by police for reportedly failing to slow down at a cop-directed traffic intersection. The 20-year-old actor at the time was serving a breathalyzer and ended up blowing over the limit, resulting in him spending a few hours behind bars. His firing from Pair of Kings was immediate, and Disney actively refused to mention him in the show after that. He did surprisingly get to keep his voice acting gig though, which people speculate is due to his face not being shown in the show. Nowadays, Mitchell hasn't released anything and pretty much remains off the radar since his last working credit in 2018. However, he did voice his character again in the 2020 Phineas and Ferb sequel movie. Taking our 8th spot is Bella Thorne. Bella will spill the tea to anyone who's willing to listen about how she never wanted to partake in Disney. In fact, she's been fairly open about regretting her time on Shake It Up, which she co-starred with Euphoria's Zendaya. At the time, she described her family being on the brink of homelessness, so she did whatever it took to help them out. Once she began to get older, the cracks in her facade only grew. Bella wanted to be more experimental with her wardrobe, aka denim shorts and crop tops all day. Therefore, the network terminated her contract the moment SIU came to a close. By now, Bella swears Disney hates her, but she also doesn't really care. She's transitioned into being more expressive on social media and has received a lot of backlash for it. At the moment, the actress seems to be single after breaking off her engagement with Benjamin Mascolo and still dabbles in all aspects of her creative titles as a model, singer, and writer. Taking our 7th spot is Jake T. Austin. Following his addition to Wizards of Waverly Place as Max Russo, Alex's younger brother, Jake moved on to a couple more Disney-produced works, including ABC Family's The Fosters. However, during the 2014 Teen Choice Awards, the actor made his way backstage to the Candy's gifting suite. Upon approaching, he was denied entry because the door worker could not recognize him. This sparked the typical celebrity tantrum of screaming, swearing, and throwing objects in the air saying, "Don't you know who I am?" followed by, "I'm a presenter, who the F are you?" Obviously, Disney wasn't having it, and Jake was soon booted from The Fosters, since he has scored a few jobs outside of Disney, including the 2017 Emoji Movie. Taking our 6th spot is Ryan Gosling. During Real Girls' promotion in 2008, Ryan opened up in a Telegraph interview that he was once fired by Disney. This occurred back when the actor was 12 and was playing a Musketeer alongside Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake. He made claims that the studio dismissed him because he wasn't Disney material, constantly educating the other tween Musketeer about grown-up topics. Ryan's career was obviously never fazed by this though. Most recently, he wowed viewers on Saturday when reports were detailing his time on a Sydney set for his upcoming film The Fall Guy, landing the lead role in the blockbuster based on a well-known 1980s TV show. The star was captured behind the wheel of a brown coupe in the middle of shooting an action-filled scene, and Ryan looked like the cool guy that he is. He seemed thrilled to be there, unable to wipe the smile off his features when the camera started rolling as he launched into character to film an anticipating car chase scene. Taking our 5th spot is Adrienne Bailon. Adrienne has no doubt created a name for herself as Robert Kardashian's ex and her career as a television host, but this all started when she was a Cheetah Girl, a Disney Channel music group who obtained a series of TV movies and specials about them. The group was promoted to be kid-friendly and cookie-cutter, but Adrienne eventually flushed that image down the toilet when her nude photos were leaked in 2008. Apparently, her or her boyfriend's software was hacked and she was exposed. Because this took place while the group was touring, Adrienne was given the chance to complete their shows, but her studio contract was officially terminated after. Adrienne was already a full adult at 25, so many speculated this was pulled as a publicity stunt to free the star from her kiddie contract. Nowadays, Adrienne helped her surrogate with the home birth of her newborn Ever. The host was super hands-on with the process, telling Entertainment Tonight that she got a chance to pull him out. According to reports, Adrienne's biggest dream is to carry a baby to full term since she struggled in the past to conceive kids of her own. On Wednesday, the star also noted that she may have the opportunity to do this as she has 5 embryos remaining. Taking our 4th spot is Chloe Grace Moretz. Of course, everyone knows Miley voiced the unforgettable character Penny in Disney's Bold, but did anyone know that Chloe was actually meant to play Penny? The actress even got as far as recording more than half a portion of the film, and nothing actually happened to make her step down, aside from the fact that the studio wanted a bigger star at the time. It probably helped that Miley was already within the Disney family as a huge star herself, and in the end, Chloe ended up being kept on board to voice the younger version of Penny. Since this, Chloe has moved on to have a lasting career, starring in movies like Kick-Ass and Neighbors 2. Nowadays, Chloe doesn't want to be referred to as just a child star though. Instead, she revealed how carefully she selects her upcoming roles in a recent NME interview, noting that this is especially due to her past suffering from body dysmorphia and being a recluse. Chloe also stated that because of this, she is in her F-it era. Taking our 3rd spot is Jake Paul. Loads of people know of Jake from his formerly loud and obnoxious YouTube behavior in 2017, a thing which seems to have caught up with him greatly since. The pro boxer kept climbing up the fame ladder and saw legitimate fame when he starred in Bizaardvark, but he was dismissed shortly after. His involvement in several activities that Disney could not stand by, including apparently terrorizing his neighbors with unruly behavior and not removing his fans who showed up on his and surrounding property after his address was leaked, resulted in him being let go. More recently, Jake has admitted that his past behavior was uncalled for. Still, he alluded that the firing was a mutual decision, but not many believed him, of course. Last week, Jake's brother Logan made his WWE debut as a professional boxer and pulled a lot of interest from the wrestling brand for potential future work with Logan and Jake after the elders' crown jewel success. Before this though, Jake had called out Saul Alvarez and Nate Diaz as future opponents in the ring. The large event took place in Saudi Arabia on November 5th, with Logan being the main event and Jake being in attendance. Taking our 2nd spot is Terrence Howard. Terrence portrayed War Machine's Rhodes, who was a good friend of Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark in the first Iron Man movie. From the 2nd movie of the franchise onward, Terrence was replaced by Don Cheadle. During a Watch What Happens live episode with Andy Cohen, Terrence disclosed that he was fired from Disney over a pay dispute after a fan phoned in questioning why he wasn't a part of Iron Man 2. In response, Terrence answered, "This is gonna get me in a lot of trouble. It turns out that the person I helped become Iron Man, when it was time to re-up for the second one, took the money that was gonna go to me and pushed me out." Now, not only was he kicked out one of the world's biggest franchises, but former allegations of domestic violence from every one of his ex-wives, from his multiple multiple marriages have led Terrence to receive larger financial loss. Unfortunately, the actor has been perceived to have a other side, which reportedly makes him lose control of himself and get into fights. Taking our first spot is PewDiePie. PewDiePie is one of, if not the richest YouTube stars of all time. Essentially, his large profits from YouTube were the reason why he signed on board with Disney for whatever they had planned for him. But this all came to a startling crash when PewDiePie made the decision to spew prejudiced remarks against Jewish people in one of his videos from early last year. And PewDiePie sets it up to seem like he was randomly viewing the offensive sign and later decides to film it, but it was eventually revealed to be the exact opposite. YouTube removed him from their premium accounts because of this. To make things worse, his apology for the incident didn't serve as genuine. Rather, he seemed to blame everyone else but himself for the issue, apparently claiming he was just trying to show how crazy the modern world is. Naturally, Disney's Maker Studios issued the following statement to announce their parting ways. Although Felix has created a following by being provocative and irreverent, he clearly went too far in this case and the resulting videos are inappropriate. Maker Studios has made the decision to end our affiliation with him going forward. Nowadays, PewDiePie's account doesn't seem all that phased despite his past. He most recently reacted to the new Warden Minecraft update on his channel. The update comes from Mojang, who recently included a horror feature to their iconic game title. Screenshots of the developer's newest works showcase the upgraded features, and of course, various popular Twitch streamers and YouTubers hopped on the chance to react to it as they awaited the release of the scary Warden.